Our tent broke.
Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday. Baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey. Come on now and take my hand.
Leaving all my worries, I prepare for something new. Whatever it was that held me back.
It's been incredibly rainy over the past few days, and unfortunately my poor guy came down with the flu. We've been stuck inside the house, so not much progress has been made on the exterior, but now that he's feeling a lot better, he's ready to get back to it. And while everything needs to be sanitized, including these sheets, I'm ready to get back to it as well.
Cody and I picked up this hot tub on Facebook Marketplace for literally 200 bucks. The guy had an issue with the plug, couldn't figure out how to plug it in. We tried to look for him, but we couldn't really take it apart while we were right there. So as soon as we got home, Cody took it apart and found out the issue.
They actually had it plugged to this extension cord right here, and then the wires coming out of the side of it like that without a plug on the end. So I understand his confusion on it just being bare wires like that, but if he would have looked a little farther, it was just an extension cord.
It is a perfectly good, beautiful, for the most part, very clean working hot tub. So I'm excited to get her all put together. And the reason I'm telling you this is not because we're changing up projects, it's because this project involves that project. Originally, we were gonna keep her on this foundation, build like a big backdrop and kind of make it like a hot tub oasis. But since we're working on the deck, we decided we're gonna actually put her in the deck. So Cody has been working on leveling out all of the ground over here, getting a nice foundation in place before we start building the deck around the hot tub.
To find my number or my FBI file. Sweet is my location, sweet as well my destination. If you're looking to begin, then look no
The only problem is she's already on the foundation, so we need to move this completely over there. Thank you.
You're welcome. Our tamp broke. It's actually working pretty good.
Yep, she finally gave out on us.
Say we're good to go. Alright, so we got the hot tub in place. I'm ready to start working on the deck, but honestly, I am not feeling the best still from the other day, so I'm not sure how much I'm going to get done today. And also, it looks like I'm about to run out of sunlight, but let's see what we can get done. So unfortunately, on some of the bottoms of our beams, we have a couple dents in a few places, and I've tried to bend them back, and it is near impossible. So we are just going to fit our wood around it. Like I said, all these beams are hardwood that we cut ourselves, so they're a lot stronger than your typical wood you get from the lumber store, so I'm not really worried about these little bit of cuts that we got to do.
Like a glove.
Oh yeah.
That's perfect.
The night was filled with a mix of rain and snow, and it's left us with this never-ending mud pit, but we're going to try to make the best of it. It's nasty out today.
So we keep seeing a cat on the trail cam, and we have a little bit of problem with mice trying to get into the camper and stuff like that. So we're gonna put out some cat food and try and get us a barn cat.
We'll pop it under the Jeep because the Jeep doesn't move, and I think it's been hanging out here for
Yeah,
warmth.
well, and being that it's a feral stray cat, I know it, whenever I see it running around, I know it likes to kind of stay protected and go underneath things, so it's not just out in the open and vulnerable. So I figured that'd be a good spot for it.
Just picked up some cat food from the Rural King. I don't know if they prefer anything. Okay, so for breakfast, Cody wants bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits, but we don't have biscuits, so I'm gonna show y'all how I make biscuits from scratch. So easy, so good, and so worth it. So let's do it. Maya wants to go outside. Give me a second, actually. I'm gonna be using my stone pan, but you can use cast iron or whatever you have available. But because I'm using stone, I'm gonna go ahead and preheat my oven to 475. And then I'm gonna pop this in because depending on what you're making, you want your stone to heat up first. So I'm gonna tell you the measurements if you were making this for your family, but since it's just Cody and I'm gonna cut everything in half. So you're gonna do 2 cups of flour. I did 1. A tablespoon of baking powder, but I'm only doing half. A teaspoon of salt, but my butter has salt, so I'm just gonna do a pinch. And then just whisk it all together. And then you would do about half a cup of butter. I'm gonna do a little less. I don't wanna dirty up any more dishes, so I'm gonna be using my 1 cup, and then I'm just gonna be filling it with tiny little chunks of butter until I get to about half. And the reason I do it like this is because I already have to break my butter up whenever I'm incorporating it into my biscuits, so it's just easier to measure it like this for me. And it's probably not the most accurate, but it works for me, so I'm gonna keep doing it. This is the butter that I make. If you are interested on how I make it, let me know. Butter is super simple, and with the cost of things these days, it's almost worth it just to make it. Then you also know what's in it. So yeah, I'm just taking the butter chunks and then cutting it in half. Now that I have what I would consider an appropriate amount of butter, I'm going to start incorporating it into the dough. You have to get your hands dirty, but once you dump your butter in, you just start incorporating it with your hands, smushing it together, and you just want like a good crumbly consistency. So I'll see you in a few once that's done. I have this pretty crumbly texture now, so let's start adding in our wet ingredients. Well, I totally didn't film it like a dum-dum, but you're gonna add 3/4 cup of buttermilk. I did a little less, obviously, since it's just the 2 of us. If you don't make your own butter, you can buy buttermilk. But since I make my own butter, this is my buttermilk. Once again, I can show you how to do that. It's so easy. You're gonna give it a good old mix. And you want this big dough ball to form. I have a prepped surface, and I'm gonna add just a little bit of flour and my dough ball. This is probably not the right way to do this, but this is what I do, and it works for me. And then I just fold, and I fold, and I fold, and fold, and fold, and then just kind of incorporate it again. I'll kind of get it back in a circle form, and then flatten it out, and then fold it again. And you're just creating layers. Fold it again, flatten it out, fold it again. Now that I have all of these layers on top of each other, I'm gonna roll it out. You're going to have a bigger pie than me, but once you get it about, I don't know, this thick, make a circle. Pick them up. I always have one that's just a little funky at the end where it's too big and too small, so I just kind of flatten it out as best to look like one of these. You should have about 6 or so, but since I'm just doing the 2 of us, we have 4. My pan is now preheated, so I'm going to add parchment and my biscuits. And in the oven they go. We're going for about 8 minutes or so, give or take. You want a nice golden top, but while that's going, I'm gonna work on the eggs and bacon and other fixins. Get it all assembled and you have yourself an egg, bacon, and cheese breakfast sandwich.
The ground's still pretty frozen, but the sun has finally came out, so while we wait for everything to dry up, I think we're just going to work on miscellaneous things that we don't typically have the opportunity to do. From the day that we decided to move 700 miles across the country, our life has been go, 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 work, work, work. And by no means am I complaining, but I'm excited to have this deck area done so we can finally just sit down and enjoy the fruits of our labor. You can so quickly get caught up in everything around you, so as I remind myself, I encourage you to take a second out of your day to just breathe, relax, and enjoy the little things.
Baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make